Welcome back. Whether you're just dipping your toe in the pool of online dating or flat out swiping on the apps, it can be hard to keep up with the latest dating trends.
And to make it all a bit easier, cyber psychologist Dr. Nicola Fox-Hamilton is now joining us. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, you've been studying this for a number of years. How has online dating changed in those years?
So when I started studying it, Tinder hadn't arrived, and Tinder completely changed the online dating marketplace. So previously, younger people weren't really on online dating. It was mostly people who were over 30. The sort of 45 to 55 age group was growing. Tinder just utterly changed that. 18 to 24-year-olds went from 10% of people using it to 30% within 2 years, and now it's well over 50%. So it made it much more mainstream. It made it feel like absolutely everybody who's single is trying online dating. And so that reduced the stigma around it, because if you know people who are dating, you're much more likely to think about it positively, especially if you know someone who's met somebody through online dating. And so it really changed people's perception of it. People think about it less as, you know, something you do if you're desperate, and more just a way to meet more people.
I don't hear people talking about Tinder as much as I used to. Now, obviously, I'm getting older, but we're surrounded by young people inside here. And it's, you know, there's other apps where they're meeting people in different ways. Like, has the popularity of it changed? Because it did just become very much a hookup site where it was like, either the person isn't going to show up, I'm being catfished, or it's a hookup and nothing's going to come from this.
There was certainly a perception of it like that, and yet lots of people were meeting partners and long-term partners through Tinder. And what's really interesting is that for a lot of younger people, they would maybe hook up with somebody, but it would turn into something else, and that didn't seem to affect the quality of the relationship or anything like that. But of course, competitors came along, and so the market is more spread out, and competitors came along and realised some of the issues with Tinder, some of the problems women were experiencing, and changed their apps to adapt to that, to give women a little bit more control over the process, to avoid getting sent so many images that they didn't want and messages that they didn't want, which has been possibly a little bit successful, but perhaps not.
Yeah.
So that's still a bit of a problem as well.
Do men and women use the app for different reasons? Because you were saying a hookup. Then do men or women, do they use it for a hookup, or do men and women use it for different reasons? Are people going on this to try and find love?
Yes, they are. So they use it for the same reasons, and there's a multitude of reasons, not just finding love, but there's a slightly different priority. So men's first reason for using it is for sexual encounters, whereas women's first reason for using it is like a romantic love or finding a partner. But men's second reason is that, and women's second reason is sexual encounters. So it's very, very similar. There's not a huge difference. But people also use it for entertainment, to alleviate boredom. You know, they're sitting on public transport and they're swiping.
They're looking at, oh yeah, he looks nice, or she looks nice, or maybe start a chat or something like frivolous
You
chat.
get your single friends to open it up sometimes on nights out, and you're like, come on, let's have a go.
And it is fun.
Oh, it's great fun,
Yeah, so it's entertaining and fun. People also use it to get a little bit of an ego boost. So if you've been in a long-term relationship for ages and you're not sure if people are going to find you attractive, maybe you've been in a difficult relationship, it gives you a chance to make you feel like you're attractive, because you can see instantly if you're getting matches that people find you attractive.
Yeah.
So that can be quite helpful as well.
But you see, that's the thing. When you look at dating profiles, they're not who they say. An awful lot of the time, it's not the person that they say they are. Like, it's lies.
So a lot of people lie on online dating.
Yeah.
Mostly small lies, though. Mostly people would consider it more exaggeration than lies. One of the problems, though, is
the
that...
height thing is a big thing, isn't it?
The height thing's a big thing.
Huge.
Men add a couple of inches to their height all the time. But women use older photographs. So, like, there was one study that found the better the photograph, the older it was, like 17 months old on average, whereas men's are much more recent. So we all do little things, mostly small lies, because when you meet in person, you don't want to be a completely different person. It's going to disappoint the date. So kind of, you know, it defies the purpose of actually meeting somebody. Some people obviously catfish, that's different. But sometimes it's that we're misinterpreting bits of information in somebody's profile. So profiles are notoriously bad for understanding what somebody's like. It's very hard to get an accurate impression of the person from it. And so when we show up on a date and the person isn't who we had imagined in our head, sometimes that's how we interpreted those little bits of information we
Okay.
got. And it's not that they were lying, it's just we read something into something
that.
they
That's-
said.
That's very, very, because you're looking at it and you're going, oh, that sounds lovely. He sounds lovely. Oh, look at him. He sounds, and you start building this image of this gorgeous future husband.
Yes.
Then he walks in and you're going, oh, or future wife or whatever. You know, like,
Yeah, and actually that can be a real problem when you're talking to somebody online for too long, as happened in COVID when you weren't able to meet.
Yeah.
So the longer you talk, particularly through text, you start to build this idealized impression of the person. It's called hyperpersonal communication. It can feel very intimate,
Yeah.
very emotional, can move quite quickly. People are self-disclosing more. And you build this fantasy of the person in your head. So when you meet them in person, the longer it goes on, the further the fantasy is away
Yeah.
from reality. You can't help but be disappointed. Even if you had met them early, they might have been
Yeah.
quite nice.
I'm sure you'll be studying the after effects of COVID because there's lots of stories of people meeting, like really being really successful after COVID because we were locked up. But we did talk about, right, catfishing, where you catfish, you pretend to be a completely different person, you're not that person, you're never going to meet them. What's cobwebbing and zombieing?
yes.
What's that?
I was like, as I was reading the intro earlier on.
Cobwebbing, is that when you're trying to catch as many flies in your trap?
No, but that's a really nice idea.
know what-
Cobwebbing's actually like clearing out the cobwebs. So,
Oh.
you know, you're holding on to the idea of an old crush or ex-boyfriend, still thinking about them. It's kind of clearing that out to get ready for a new future, to meet somebody new. So kind of letting go of things in the past and clearing out the cobwebs, which is quite nice. I think that's a really positive thing. Zombieing's
Okay.
a fun one. Well, not if it happens to you. So ghosting is where you've been chatting to somebody or
And
even
then they
dating
just
them, they
ghost you.
just
They-
disappear
yeah,
off the face of the
disappear,
planet. Zombieing is when 6 months later they send you a message going, "Hey, stranger,
They
what's
come back
up?"
from the dead.
Oh,
They come back from the dead. And don't mention anything about why they were gone or anything like that. They're just like, "Hey, what's up?"
Can you give the top 3 tips to people that might be watching this morning about online dating, what you should be doing?
Okay, so number one, your photograph's the most important thing. People know that, and yet some of the photographs people use are terrible. So a good close-up shot with no sunglasses on where you can see your face and you haven't got multiple people in the photograph, and additional photos that illustrate what you're saying about yourself in your profile. Really, really important. Sending first messages, try and say something to the person that indicates you've read their profile and you're interested in them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, women get so many messages that say, "Hey,"
Yeah.
and they're not going to reply to those ones.
Yeah.
And women don't reach out to men enough. So men still send like 4 times more first messages than women. It's actually more successful for women to send the first message. They're more likely to result in a connection. Everybody's more likely to be happy with the partnership if they actually meet up. So that's a really good thing to look at as well.
Wow. Okay.
0896
Some good
111
advice there.
111 if you've met someone online, if you've got some tips for us. Our doctor of online, PhD in online dating, by the way. This is what it is. Dr. Nicola Fox Hamilton, thank you so much for joining us this
Thank you
morning.
very
Really
much.
appreciate
Thank you.
it.
So interesting.
Still to come, we're going to be hearing from Senator Lynn Rowan about her experience of burnout.
Plus, we're revealing the best wines to try damp January, not dry January,
it.
damp January. See you in a few minutes.
Sounds disgusting.